I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, it's been a few years here. Every couple of years I've got to do a blog here on what I call my golden rules to real estate. This is probably the fourth or fifth one I've done over the last 10 years. I feel I have to because, it's pretty endless here that I'll always get people. I had a guy a couple weeks ago on my YouTube channel here saying that, and you're a perma-bull, a blind optimist, I think he referred to me as. Real estate only goes up and it doesn't. And that's what you preach. Well, I think you guys, my loyal viewers here, can back me up on this. Obviously, he was a newbie to my YouTube channel here. Because I've often said here, I think I paint both sides of the story here when it comes to both real estate, either buying your principal residence or buying an investment property, as well as saving for retirement. You've got to put your money to work. You're going to put it in the real estate or you're going to put it in the stock market. It does not go up every year. And I've given you lots of real life examples of my own portfolio, which has taken beatings over the years. But that's what you sign up for. If you want the superior returns long term, you've got to get used to some volatility. And Vancouver real estate, we should get corrections on average about every 3 years. What I call run-of-the-mill corrections, 5, 10, 15%. Every 10 years or so, we should get something more severe, 15, 20%. It's par for the course. We've had a pretty incredible run here coming out of COVID. But one of these days, market's going to cool, prices will go down. Maybe it's going to be in 2021. So my golden rules of real estate, I know my longtime viewers have heard this many times, and if you've read my book as well. If you're looking to buy a principal residence, let's talk about that, which I highly recommend. It should be the first step for everyone. Get off that renter treadmill, get in the market. Once you're in the market, it's smooth sailing after that. But my golden rules are you do not buy a principal residence unless you have at least an 8 to 10 year holding period. Because time will solve everything when it comes to real estate, or if you buy the right equities and keep them in the stock market. In the short term though, the market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine, and eventually the cream rises to the top. 8 to 10 year holding period. If you can't commit to home ownership, whether that's in a principal residence or an investment property for that length of time, then do not buy. Or you have a backup plan. In other words, you buy the home, 5 years later, the market's in the doldrums, it's a buyer's market, it's down 10%. You have a backup plan where you could hold the home, rent it out if you had to move or be relocated or whatever. Because time in the market will solve all your problems, guaranteed. Guaranteed if you give it enough time. I can guarantee to you, if you buy a home in Kitsilano right now, a detached home, or a detached home in Renfrew or Grandview or Hastings Sunrise, and you keep it for 15, 20, 25 years, you are going to make nothing but boatloads of capital gain. It's just the way it is. There'll be some ups and downs along the way. There'll be some years there where it's down 5% or down 10%, but that should be a very little concern to you if you follow my golden rule. You're buying a principal residence to roof over your head. You're going to need that shelter for 20, 30, 40 years anyways. So tune out the short term. Second golden rule, you don't overcommit leverage-wise or borrowing-wise. If the bank, I've often says they'll lend you $800K, doesn't mean you have to take $800K. It's tempting these days with 1.8 or 1.9% interest rates, but borrow conservatively, definitely take advantage of that leverage, but leave yourself a buffer. Interest rates now have got nowhere go but up, although I think we're going to be in a low interest rate environment for a long, long time here. Even if interest rates do start to creep up a little bit, we're still going to be at or near, historic lows here. So don't over leverage, leave yourself a buffer, and always have that 8 to 10 year holding plan or have a backup plan. You follow those, take advantage of the principal residence exemption, take advantage of these low interest rates, enjoy the home. Again, you need shelter for you and your family. It's stability. You're not at the whim of your landlord. I've done lots of blogs on that. Final thing I want to talk about here too. I just did I don't know if you saw on the Financial Post, you guys know I don't do very much media at all. I turn down 90% of the media that approaches me. If Wall Street Journal wants to talk to me, or Barron's, hey, I'm in for that if you guys want to talk to me again. But Financial Post did a follow-up to the dust-up that I had with Evan Sindall, and they printed that about 6 weeks ago. And because it got a lot of steam, there's a bunch of guys back east now, some mortgage brokers, some developers that also want answers to him. And of course, he went quiet. And I want to straighten it out here again, and the Financial Post article did that. And I want people to pay close attention to what I'm saying here with this. As I've said all along here, it wasn't that I had any objection to Mr. Siddall making a prediction that the market was going to go down 10 or 15% here. That wasn't the objection I had to him. He basically he made that prediction in the height of COVID. As a matter of fact, if you gave him Vegas odds of being right or wrong, I would have given him a 90% chance of being right. He was really going out on a limb there, saying that the market was going to go down 10 to 15% when everything was in complete lockdown, and we're still not out of COVID. So if I had to give him Vegas odds on that, he had a 90% chance. Of course, he was wrong. But hey, it wasn't that I had the objection to, as these other people back east and a bunch of people jumped on my bandwagon. It was the fact that what is the head of CMHC doing, making predictions when their mandate is to help people get into the housing market? The problem I had with what he said and why it was so wrong and such an amateur move was that by making those kind of predictions, he's telling people to speculate on real estate. Treat your real estate like it's a stock. Time the markets. And that is, as I've said many times here on my blog, and I talk about it in my book, it is a mug's game. I've got over 30 years experience in this business. My dad has over 55 years experience. Anyone who has a lot of experience in this business would tell you what I'm telling you. When you're ready to buy your principal residence and you can follow my golden rules, buy. Don't listen to a guy like Siddall or all these other pundits that will tell you that the market's headed for a correction. They very well may be right. As I've often said, the market could easily take a 10 or 15% correction in 2021. I don't know, but I don't care, and you shouldn't either. You're taking advantage of the principal residence exemption. You're getting advantage of these ultra low interest rates, and it certainly beats renting. What is the alternative to this? He's telling people to time the market, stay renting, stay paying those outrageous rents in Vancouver. And that is the problem I've had. And that's what the follow-up with this Financial Post article had. And you're going to see some more articles coming out here later this winter from the Financial Post as well as the Globe and Mail, because Mr. Siddall is leaving. He's quietly slinking away here. Again, I want people to understand I'm not a blind optimist here and telling you real estate only goes up. It's the message that he's sending, especially to young people, that don't buy, stay renting because the market's going to go down 10 or 15%. I mean, he had a 90% chance of being right and he was wrong. But he very well might come to fruition this time next year. But here's the other nasty part to this, and why this is so crazy, and why anyone who's logical is going to have the same views I have. That, as we all know, the market here in Vancouver has taken off here since COVID. The detached market is up massive. Even the good quality condos are at or near all-time highs here. So the problem is that, by next year, maybe the market takes a 10% correction, but those detached homes are up 20% since then. I talked about it back during the height of COVID here. A lot of my clients, the vast majority of them during the COVID lockdown, I shut down my business for almost 6 weeks. And I was working with a number of buying clients. And then I told you I took, 6 listings off the market and then relisted them in May. Sold them all immediately, set some new record prices, had bidding wars on most of them. The majority of my buying clients stayed on board, especially a lot of my investor clients, because as a matter of fact, a lot of them, I said back then, looked at this as a good opportunity. There's some dark clouds around. There was some good units that were at a good price, less competition, and we bought. Turns out in hindsight, they were good purchases. But I had a set of buyers, husband, wife, that were in the market for a detached home back in April. And we were in the 1.5, 1.6 price range. COVID hit, everything kind of got locked down for a while. Mr. Siddell's prediction came out along with several others saying, do not buy. We're headed for a crash here. And this couple decided, and I totally understood. I couldn't say much because I understood where they were coming from. They decided, oh, and we're going to take a break on it. What could I say? I totally understood. There were so many dark clouds out there, mortgage defaults. We're heading into a recession or probably a depression. There was some panic selling going on for a very short period of time. It didn't last long on the detached. Lasted a little longer in the condos. So I totally understood. But now, those prices, those houses that were at 1.5, 1.6 are now selling at 1.8, 1.9. They're up a good 200 or 250K. I didn't see that coming. Nobody did. But that's where it's at. So how would a guy like Mr. Siddell or some of these other people that were predicting these big crashes, that's what this does. It keeps well-qualified buyers that want to buy a principal residence. It spooked them on the sidelines, and now they're out of the market. They can't get into the 1.9 area to buy what they could have bought at 1.6 or 1.650. How do you answer to that? Nothing. Nothing from Mr. Siddell. You can talk about that. He's going to quietly go away here. That is the problem I always had. It's not about making predictions. The markets will go up and down. A betting man would have said when he made that prediction he was probably going to be right. But it's the message it sends to people that real estate should be treated like a stock. I mean, think about how ridiculous this is about trying to time markets and listening to these pundits saying that, it's going to take, I'm seeing some more coming out as I speak right now, saying that 2021 is going to be a bad year for real estate. In Vancouver, they're predicting 10-15% drop across the board, not just on condos, detached. Maybe they're going to be right. I don't know. We're heading into a very deep recession here with COVID. But that's not the point. You're buying a home, it's shelter, you're going to keep it for 10 or 15 or 20 years. What it does in the short term should make little concern to you. You're getting frozen on the sidelines here with this. That's what this is doing for you. And that's always the issue that I had. But think about how ridiculous it would be. If you're trying to time markets in real estate, what are you going to do? Eventually buy this home or condo next year when the market's down 10 or 15%, and then what are you going to do? Leave it for 3 years and then sell it at the first sign of the next correction? Because the corrections are always going to come. Always. Every 2 to 3 years we'll get one, and a severe one every 8 to 10. What are you going to do? Sell it? Pay the commissions? Pay the property, pay the capital gains tax if it's an investment unit? Pay the notary fees? And then buy back in again and pay the PTT and all the other stuff? It doesn't work. Just think about how dumb this is. And the final thing, I mean, it's just crazy that these people, are trying to spook people out of buying their principal residence when the rental market is brutal. It's not like you're renting a place for $800 a month here. And the other final thing I'd say is, why don't you hear anything about credit cards, bad debt at 25 and 30%, loan sharking is what I call it. You notice how you never hear much about, people carrying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 credit card balances, or department store credit cards, or car loans at 7 and 8%. But they're all over you about don't buy a house which is shelter and tangible and you're going to need for 20 or 30 years, and you can borrow that at 1.8%. It's just so out of whack, and that's what this last financial post won, but there's more coming. A lot of people are wanting him to answer to that, but you're probably not going to hear anything from him. He's slinking away. But again, final thing here, it's not that I have any issue. I'm not a blind optimist. I think I've painted both sides of the picture here with real estate as well as the stock market. There's ups and downs. If you want the superior returns, you have to get comfortable with that. But take advantage of the principal resident exemption. Take advantage of the leverage at 1.8%. Use it wisely and conservatively. Leave yourself a buffer. Have an 8 to 10 year holding period. These are all the golden rules. If you follow them, you will do very, very well. And don't try and time markets or listen to these putzes that will tell you that the market's going to drop next year 5 or 10% or 15%. It very well might. That's not the issue. The issue is that it's sending you a message that you want to time a market. And once you get into that, it's a very, very dark place. Believe me. You're going to be frozen on the sidelines, and there's never going to be a magical time when now we're going to jump in. It's not going to happen. The COVID thing will pass, but there'll be another one after that. And that's the thing. Just buy and hold. It's the only advantage you have. Take advantage of the interest rates. Take advantage of the principal resident exemption. Follow my golden rules. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I've had a huge surge in new subscribers lately. And thanks to everyone who's been buying my book. It continues to be a pretty high seller in Canada on Amazon. Glad you're enjoying it. I wrote it as a door opener for people to get them started towards financial security. I'll see you next week.